Hello, kind people. This is Dmitry, and I'm going to continue with my weekly recaps of The Listener. We had a very good run of decent puzzles, and this one is no exception. A very nice one, as you will see. It is on your screen. It's called Board of Trade. It's by Deuce, and this is yet another example of a puzzle where, pretty much like a couple of weeks ago with the wolf, cabbage, and goat one, keen and keen-eyed solvers could possibly understand the theme before even solving the first clue. I was not so perceptive this time, and it took me a few clues until I realized what the theme is, but yeah, not much more than that. I think I'll show you the exact moment. Let's read the preamble. The preamble goes as follows. 5 across clues need a word removed to enable solving. 8 other clues need a non-word string of consecutive letter removed. The string is a jumbled thematic property of the entries checked cells, except any inside dashed line. So you see there's 4 squares in the corner with these dashed lines which look a bit like a cage in a killer Sudoku. So this thematic property applies to the entries checked cells except any inside dashed lines, but it needn't be shown. Each remaining down clue has a letter misprinted in the definition. After filling the grid, the first letter of each of the 5 extra words must replace the grid entry letter corresponding to the word's position in its clue. Corrections to misprints spell what happens next. Without showing the result of that, highlight the name of the arrival point and the cell whose number corresponds to what might then be due. And the whole thing is called Board of Trade. And I have this 4 corner squares. So I think I'll show you kind of where the penny dropped, and then I'll show you the end game. This is where I got when I realized that I know what this is all about. So let me explain how these clues work maybe, and how you get from there to the theme. So 1 across jigsaws, they cut lectures about sieges regularly. So one of the synonyms for lectures as a verb is jors. To jor is to lecture, I think. And it goes about around sieges regularly. So you take IGS and you get jigsaws. And jigsaws are not just the jigsaw puzzles, but actually the saws. So they cut. So that's the definition. So this is the normal clue. Nothing happens here. No extra words, no misprints in the definition. So let's have a look at the lector one, 11 across. Lions, the Catholic regent or Bible reader. So Bible reader here is the definition. So the okay, so we have the word lector, and the trick here is to realize that this or here is actually this or. Lions they is the French definitive article, so this is les. Catholic could be abbreviated to C, and then we need to get this T. And this T we can't get from the word region, but if we remove this region from the word regent, we are just left up with T. And region is an anagram of green. And so if you look at this, that means that these cells, this one, the checked cells of the word, but not the one inside the dash line, they have to be green. And at the moment, somehow at this stage I didn't yet get what this was all about, because also I realized that they actually spell out echo, which is green, and I thought it might have something to do with it, as in like, they're self-descriptive or something, and that well, I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, didn't get it at this point. But then I got the 2 down, and the 2 down is ill-got. So previously of dubious provenance, lowly Eton supports one Latin learner to work. Not sure how convincing is the surface reading, but so once again, so because it's a down clue, we need to supports means, it's under something. So 1 is this 1, Latin is this L, learner is this L. Those are both valid abbreviations from Chambers. To work is to go, right? The machine goes, I guess. And then we need this T again. And T is a valid abbreviation for ton. And so this becomes T. And in order to get there, we need to get rid of all this. And all this lowly E anagrams to yellow. So the checked cells in this entry are yellow. And here is something that looks suspiciously like jail. And in fact, indeed, this entry is, I think, Jabal. Might be wrong there, but we'll find out in a second. So once you see that, and you know that this whole thing is called Board of Trade, I guess you understand immediately what this is all about. This is about the game of Monopoly, where you have a go to jail square here between yellow and green properties. Now, oh yeah, I also highlighted this to just not forget to mention this. I think this is just the best clue of the puzzle, and one of the best clues I've seen in the listener recently. So, just so elegant. This is a normal clue, and it's this number 14 across, late lamb reformed, right? So, this is a lovely, very simple clue, but a lovely unlit. I don't know whether this is the first time that this word has been clued in this fashion, but if so, this is extremely impressive. So obviously the surface reading brings to mind some person being reformed in a religious way, but then when you anagram late lamb, so you reform the letters, you get meatball. And if you now read it again as a surface reading, right, meatball is certainly a very literally reformed late or dead lamb. So, and the question mark is there because this is a kind of a sort of a cryptic definition, right? Because if you go to the dictionary at entry and meatball, you probably won't see there anything about late lambs. So yeah, I just think it's a great clue. Okay, so once you understand what this is all about, maybe I should show just one more type of clue. So 3 down, clotting cream eggs alternately rotated. So how does that work? I guess you just take the letters with a step, so you alternate and you take every other letter, but it's rotated, so you do it in the other direction, and you get G-E-A-R, that's gear, and gear is clothing, not clotting, and so the misprint is H, and so on. So once you do all that, you arrive at the end game, and the end game looks like this. None of this covering is required, but I thought I'd just do it for clarity. So you get a Monopoly board, and indeed, so there are extra letters in each of those entries corresponding to the particular property line that describe so there's this extra string of words that you had to remove that describe its color. So I think here it was sky, and here it was magenta, and here it was orange and red and yellow and so on. And then, as you can see, so this is the actual jail, and this is the square which symbolizes go to jail square in Monopoly, and this is free parking, and this is the go symbolizes the starting go square in Monopoly. And maybe the other thing I should have shown is that there are some clues for which the answer lengths are greater than the number of cells. So for example, 20 cross fair contraption levies low for each estate say. So here I believe like this was an extra word, and then loaf is a bum, for each is per, estate say, estate is a type of car, so you get bum per car, which is a fair contraption. So you get that in a fairground, fairgrounds, and so you put bum per car, and though this car goes in to the last cell, and then the crossing entry is gold card. So car is obviously one of the pieces with which you could play Monopoly, and the other is hidden here, and that's a hat. So it's car playing against the hat. And if you now look at the extra words, so in this, so one part of the preamble says that the first letter of each of the extra 5 words must replace the grid entry letter corresponding to the word's position in this clue. So since we just looked at the bumper car, let's see how it works there. So this thing here has the first letter L, and the word is number 3 in the clue, so we need to replace the third letter of the answer with L, and you might realize what's happening here. So starting from here, we're spelling the word Monopoly, so the other 4 changes go there, 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 and here. So that's one part of the end game. So that is we're now up to here. Corrections to misprints spell what happens next. So the misprints, of which we've just seen that here you have an H, the misprint said the car rolls 9 or something like that. And the car is now at this square, and if you roll 9, you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and so you land here. And if you look at the Monopoly board, you realize that this is an electricity company, one of the 2 utilities on the Monopoly board. And so what we need to highlight is its short name. And so we highlight this, right? Elecor. So this is the short name. Oops. Sorry for my highlighting. This was meant to be like this. And we have to highlight a cell with the number that corresponds, how does the preamble put it? Whose number corresponds to what might then be due. So the utilities in Monopoly work that the rent for them is, if you control 1, it's I believe 4 times the number rolled. If both, it's 10 times the number rolled. Since 90 is not in the grid, but 36 is, I believe we also have to highlight this cell. And that, I think, is what you need to submit. You don't, well, all the coloring, well, it doesn't say that you must not do it, so you say you needn't do it, so I think it will be accepted with the coloring, but the coloring is not required. You need just these 2 highlighting bits and the word Monopoly on the diagonal. So what do I think about this puzzle? I think it's a very elegant one. It sort of continues the tradition of crosswords where the grid turns into something else, you know, into some other game. The we've seen a lot of those. We've seen the grid turning into a Sudoku. We've seen the grid turning into, a 9-man Morris, the grid turning into something else. So here the grid turns into the Monopoly board. I really like the idea of descriptions for, of the how the coloring was introduced for the individual properties, and these big squares in the corners are also quite fun. And in general, I think, like, if I were to describe it with one word, it was fun. Like, one dimension on which typically this board game related puzzles do not sort of excel is, whether I've learned anything exciting, anything new. I don't think I did, but it's so elegant that I think it's more than enough to be a really solid listener. So thanks a lot, Deuce. I really enjoyed it, and let's see what this coming week brings. Thank you for watching. Bye.